Hey folks, thank you for joining us again for another exciting episode of Yoml. This is the Year of Magical Learning podcast. So today it's a brand new book, but it still has a two-part reflection, and a reflection number is 277.
This
So
yeah, first off, I can't believe we're on 277. That's wild. I saw that today and I was like, man, like we're getting close, man, to the finish line. I'm gonna actually have to start making more blog posts. I'm on 284 or sorry, 384 now.
mhm.
So I've got like an extra 20 or so that I gotta make, but we're I see that now and I'm like, man, we're gonna run out of shit soon. I gotta keep writing every day. Like I'm no longer writing after each book. I'm only writing after books that I really like and I want to
Mhm.
capture like my memory palace of the book. As a matter of fact, the ones that I'm not writing about, I actually forgot that I read them. Like I mean, I it's a like I was
Well,
thinking
there's certain information that it doesn't align with you. There's no need for you to keep
right.
it. I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly. No,
what's the point of keeping like things that is no use to you?
it's there is no point. Like but it's even worse than that because I like literally don't even remember that I read the book. Like I
And
had
that's a
like I
good thing. That's a
yeah.
good thing because you want to leave room for the things that you want to keep,
I agree.
right?
I agree. There's no problem with it. It's just funny how I'm doing this differently now. Like before, it was finish a book, write a reflection, dig it out, like figure
It's
out how to
work.
pull
It's
out a
work.
thought.
It's
Right,
work because you're forcing yourself to write reflection on a book, whether you like it or not. That's work. It's forcing.
right,
When you force this nature, it's work. If you go down the river, it's the tailwind. It's that thing that's
right.
running down here, right? That's fun. To me, if you have to force anything, eventually you're gonna have to use willpower, and eventually you're gonna exhaust yourself.
Agreed. To a certain extent, agree. I did have fun doing it though the whole time as well, even when I was forcing it out of me. It was
But
always fun.
still, I guarantee you, you could not last forever. The
I
point
no
is,
no
if I were to what you call scale the river, right? I can
right.
do that forever because I put no energy into it because it's
Yeah,
always down the river. But if you
yeah.
go upriver, even if it's the calmest and the easiest road, right? It doesn't matter if it chipped just a little bit of my willpower. Eventually, I will get exhausted. So
Yeah.
imagine if I put a single sand on a scale. I keep putting single sand on a scale. It's not much, not noticeable, but eventually that sand, that's a single grain of sand will tip the scale. So that's my point, right? It
Yeah,
still adds
I don't
up.
disagree. I agree. You saw what happened to me around like book 300 or so, where I was like, oh man, I can see the finish line, but it's still so far away. 65 reflections and books to go. It's like it was. I did have that little lull, and you're right. So all right, but onto the reflection. So this book today
Onward.
is this. At this point in time, this was the longest book that I'd ever read in my life. It was
Longer than the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Oh, that's not that long. That's not long at all. I mean, Black Swan, Thinking Fast and Slow, that was longer than those. The Name of the Rose, that one was like 22-hour audible book. Uh,
Yikes.
the I'm trying to think what else was the longest ones. I'm trying to think. I feel like maybe I'd done like couple 20-hour ones, definitely many like 18-hour ones. I'd probably done like at least 10, 18-hour audiobooks and then maybe five over 20 hours, but nothing like over like 22 or something like that.
Mhm.
This Nelson Mandela book was a 600-page, 27-hour Audible book. And to date, that was the longest book that I'd ever read or consumed, I guess, in this format, as an audiobook. So this was a long one, man, but it was good. It was a good one. It's Nelson Mandela's autobiography, The Long Walk to Freedom. This book is it's exactly what you think it is. It's Nelson Mandela telling the story of Nelson Mandela's life, and very 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 detailed from his like childhood all the way through everything of his life. I mean, he told it all, right? And a big portion of this book he actually wrote while he was in on Robben Island in the prison, and he like wrote it in secret, and then he stashed it away and was able to get it off to a publisher to like write the first like half of this book, and then he wrote the second half after he was released. with an autobiographer to help him to put it all together. But he wrote it all. And it's all about his life and all about his, his everything that he did, and all the people that, he did it with, and that's it. I mean, like, it's just about Nelson Mandela's life. It's called A Long Walk to Freedom. So the because this is such a long book, and because he's such an impactful person, not just because of what society tells us, but because of this book. I mean, he was an impactful person even for me to just learn about his life, So I had to give him 2 reflections on this one for sure, because he definitely, I definitely learned something from him. So I thought it worthwhile to get a 2-parter on this one as well. So the first reflection is: purpose isn't a destination; it's a marathon. And I started this reflection off by saying, in the 600 plus pages of Nelson Mandela's life story, I don't think, you can fact check me on this, but I don't think he ever said once that he laid out the grand vision or the goal for his life ever. Like, I don't think he ever once said, like, this is how I'm envisioning the world being. This is how I'm trying to, like, bring this out. This is my dream, right? Like, that never was mentioned by the guy ever once, which kind of shocked me, to be honest with you. Like, I figure, these people that are like such, I mean, he's Nelson Mandela. I mean, like, he's Nelson Mandela. I mean, how many other people are in this world that you say his name and everybody's like, oh yeah, Matiba, like I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he's just one of those, like, revered figures that you feel like this guy probably just knew more than the rest of the world or something like that. And something was special about this guy. So I figured it was probably more like Steve Jobs-esque or something like that, where, like, I have this massive vision, which, to be fair, I haven't read his autobiography yet. I'm actually going to do that one next here soon. So maybe I'm misspeaking about Steve Jobs, but, like, I get the feeling of, like, these business founders and, people that, like, these grand visions, the Elon Musks of the world. Like, I'm going to put a guy on Mars. Like, I mean, that guy said, how many times have you seen his boring tunnels? Like, I got these grand visions all over the place. Like, Nelson Mandela never said anything like that ever about anything in his life. As a matter of fact, it was the exact opposite of that. Somehow he knew his purpose from day one. I mean, like, or he learned it really, really early on in his life. When he was in school and college, he fought for equality and for freedom from injustices for his classmates. When he was after college, he fought for equal rights for his clients as an attorney for Black people to have equal rights in South Africa. Then he became the leader of the African National Congress, and he fought for freedom and equal rights of all the Blacks in South Africa. Then he got exiled from South Africa because he became, like, labeled as a terrorist, basically. And then, he fought from abroad for equality, and he went to go learn about other people's cultures and how they operate life, and helped to fight from abroad as best he could. And then, even when he was in prison every single day, I mean, he even fought for equality and equal rights for his prisoners, himself and his prisoners. I mean, they staged, like starvation, food, what do you call it? Hunger strikes. They staged, all these other different kinds of protests and stuff like that, while they, just wanted long pants, because they, for whatever reason, wearing shorts to them was considered disrespectful, or wanting certain just freedoms that should be offered to anybody, kind of thing. Like, this guy, like, fought every single day of his life for equality, and no matter what his situations was, no matter where he was, no matter who he was doing it for, every single day he lived his purpose, like, and that was to fight for equal rights for everybody around him, and that was what he did. And that's why this title of this is Purpose Isn't a Destination, it's a marathon. Like, I feel like so many people think of purpose as this grand vision, like, what's the purpose of my life, and, like, that's not how it works, in my opinion, personally. I mean, I don't know anything, but this is, in my personal opinion, that is not how purpose works. Purpose is like every single day you're doing something towards your purpose, because it's not a purpose if you're not. Like, people don't sit around and talk about, well, I have this grand vision, of like what my purpose will bring to this world or something like that. That's great, fine. Like, I don't think that's your purpose. It's, what do you want to fight for every single day? What do you want to bring out in this world? What do you want to try your best to create every single day, And that's what Nelson Mandela did, and that's why he's Nelson Mandela. He not only did this stuff every single day, he did it despite himself most of the time. No one ever, and once again, this is my knowledge of the book and his own story that he said, nobody ever told him to do this stuff. He was never put in a situation ever where they were like, Nelson, you need to fight for equality or something like that. He just did it. Like, that's what he wanted to do, and he did it every single day, no matter what environment he was in, no matter what was thrown at him, and he did it. Like, and even when he had no power to do it, he still tried to do it. Like, I mean, he this is just what he did. This is what living a purpose-driven life looks like. And and it reminds me of a marathon, right? You don't run a marathon by dreaming about crossing the tape and the finish line and having all your friends there with a beer and a banana to celebrate with you. Like, you run a fucking marathon by putting one foot in front of the other, and then you eventually cross the finish line, right? Like, that's how purpose works as well. Like, you take a step every single day, and you do what you can with what you can toward whatever you care about, that's so important to you. And come hell or high water, like, you figure out a way to make it happen, and that's what he did, and it's pretty inspiring, honestly. It's something that it was a great reminder for me. That every day, like, when I talk about living a driven life and doing stuff, living for two with Amelia, like every day that we take another step and we read another book, or we write another reflection, or we have another conversation with you, or we do our mentoring with my teammates now, or with other people, or tennis, or whatever the fuck it is that we're doing, right? When we're living for two, like, every single day, like, that's how I live my purpose. And I don't know where that's going to take us. I don't really care. Like, it's just you take the next step along the way, right? That's it. That's what I learned from this book. It was a great reminder of, purpose isn't a destination. It's a marathon, and you just keep taking another step, and then you end up where you end up. So, love to get your thoughts.
So I agree. I mean, I think Nelson Mandela definitely, lived his purpose, because going back to what we said before in one of our previous episodes is, how do you become world class?
Just do it. You do it every
Right?
day.
The thing is, this guy is world class at being Nelson Mandela,
Freedom fighter. Yeah.
right? So the thing is that I'm saying is, when you talking about purpose isn't a destination, right? Purpose is, let me put it this way: if you, for example, if I take you as an example, say, hey, I want you to stop talking, and I don't want you to interact with anyone. What would happen to you? Let's say
I would exhaust a whole lot of willpower, and I would.
So
and
let's say
I
I
would
put
become
you.
Hampton J. Pig, and it would suck the soul out of me, and I would, I mean,
No,
yeah.
the thing is, it doesn't matter. I mean, to give an example that you are who you are, I can. Let's say you don't speak Chinese, right? I guarantee you, I can drop you in China, and you will try to communicate in
Yeah.
any way, anyhow possible, regardless what kind of restriction they put on you. You will want to communicate
I
because
agree.
that's who you are. And to me, that's an example of what a purpose is. A purpose is what you have, and what you have to use. You
Yeah.
can say, okay, I am this, I have this, you know, ability to connect, to talk, to communicate, right? That's an ability, that's a purpose.
Mhm.
And you have to use your purpose. A purpose isn't a destination per se, because if you, for example, if I give you a pair of lungs, you have to breathe. It's not like, oh, I got a pair of lungs and I'm going to keep it safe.
Right.
You have to use the purpose is something that you have to use. If you don't, it cannot be it doesn't work that way. That's what I'm saying is I agree with you. Purpose isn't what you're gonna attain. It's not a final destination of anything. It's
Yeah.
about the journey. Is what are you doing with it? It's like you get a pair of lungs, you gotta breathe. You get a pair of legs, you're gonna walk. You got a pair of wings, you're gonna fly, right? Because the thing is, if you got a pair of wings, you don't fly. I mean, the thing is, you don't
You're a
have that pair
donkey
of
in the
wings
shed,
anymore.
and you're not walking. You're dying. I mean, you're Sherman. You're Sherman in the shed.
So what I'm saying is, when you live your purpose, like I say, Nelson Mandela is living his purpose, and because you live your work, when you live your purpose, you automatically will eventually become world class without being world class,
Right.
without trying to be world class.
Oh, he
because
was
that's
never trying. I mean, he never
I,
said once in this book, ever once, like,
no,
this
and
is what I'm
and that's what
trying
I'm
to
saying
do.
is
Like,
back in the other episode that you asking me, what do you want to be a world class? I said I don't want to be world class at anything. I just want to do what I like to do, right?
right.
And that makes me better than people because I spend more time doing it because I'm driven to it. I want to do it. That's like, you say, hey, I love to play tennis. I will willing to pay to play tennis. People
Yeah.
love to go and eat gourmet food and become the foodie or whatever. They will go and will spend money to become foodie. So that is what's drive them, what's driven them, right? They will automatically become world class at what it is. So when you look at this guy, right? This guy, you think this is like the like a tremendous feat that he have achieved, but to him, that's who he
It
is.
wasn't at all. Like,
It wasn't.
like,
It was. I mean, regardless of whether you put him in prison or you put him in another country or you tell him not to write or not to become fight for justice, he will fight. Like I told you, if I were to say, "Hey, Chris, shut the fuck up," you still gonna figure out how to get your word out.
I started chuckling when you said that because we were just in Mexico 2 weeks ago, and um, to your point, like, I never shut the fuck up, right? We had been walking for like, I ran like 6 miles in the morning, and then we had walked like 12 miles like around the city throughout the course of the day. So like my little Apple phone or whatever, like, health thing said like I'd gone like 18 plus miles or something like that, on a particular day. And we were getting a drink at the end of the night, at our hotel. We had this like awesome like balcony that overlooked like the main, huge central square in Mexico City, like, where they do like Dia de los Muertos. They have the huge, if you've ever seen any pictures of Mexico City, it's always like the big cathedral and the big square in the middle of it. Like, our hotel was literally on the square, and it was the balcony was overlooking that whole area. So we're like up at this like awesome little bar, like, on our balcony, and like, uh, getting seated by we were waiting to get seated at the bar, and the server came over, or the hostess came over and was sitting us down at our table so we can eat some dinner. And I was joking with Felicia. I was like, man, how do you say my dogs are barking in Spanish? And I was like, would it be like mi perros dice, how do they say barking? I was like, I don't know, woof woof, or something like that. So I told the hostess lady as she was sitting there. So I was like, does this make sense to you? I was like, mi perros dice woof woof, and she started like laughing at me, and I was like, what are you laughing at? She was like, what are you talking about? I was like, is this not, do you understand what I'm saying? And she was like, no, but it was funny. I mean, I understood what you were saying, but she didn't understand what I was saying. I apparently, like, my dogs are barking isn't a saying in Mexico. You know what I'm saying when I mean that, right?
Right. Yeah, of
Yeah, your
course.
feet are tired. Okay, yeah. Anyway, to your point, I was laughing even though I was in another country and I'm like trying to cobble together the dumbest statement ever, like, that has nothing to do with anything. Like, nobody gives a shit, like, and I'm trying to figure out how to say
That's the energy that drives you, and when you
right.
do that, it doesn't matter. Like I said, oh, this guy's, he writes in prison and he fights everywhere he goes. And, well, that's who he is. You
So
can't
he is.
expect a beaver not to dam, right?
Right.
You cannot expect Chris
He
not to try to communicate.
and this
That's
fucking
not.
it's even worse too, because like, he does it despite himself. Like, I mean, I don't know if you know anything about Nelson Mandela's life, but like, his wife, Winnie, that waited for him for 27 years or whatever it was when he was in prison, and diligently picked up the fight, and she like even was like the person that was like the proxy for him, out there in the public, when they, like, a year after he got out of prison officially, like, they divorced, like, because they were like, I can't do it. I can't be like, this isn't the idea of the guy that was in jail and the idea of the guy that actually ended up, back with them and trying to figure out how to live life together, was like, we still love each other, but like, we got to get a divorce. Not only that, like, he was an awful father to his children. Like, he was never there. He was always off helping other fucking people to like.
That's not who he is.
I know. I mean,
You
yeah.
can't expect a beaver to be an eagle, right? You just can't. I mean, that's what I'm saying is you can't try and say, I want this, I want that. No. Figure out who it is that you are born with, right? What it is that you're born with. That's who you are. And to fulfill that duty, to fill that talent. If you're given a talent, i.e., a purpose, you have to use it. Because if you have no talent for fatherhood, I have no talent for husbandry, right?
Right. Yes.
It doesn't matter who you are. You cannot fulfill that duty, right? You have no talent to do that. You can't say, "Hey, I want to be a singer," right? Or I don't have the voice. How can you be a singer? You don't have a voice.
Exactly. But the irony of all ironies, though, about the whole fatherhood thing, like he was called Madiba by everybody, which means he was the Timbo chief that he was descendant of, means father. Madiba means father. Like everybody called him father. Like, but his own children didn't have a fucking father. Like, I mean,
Well, the
like it
thing
was
is that the word father isn't what you mean by having this. Father mean to me, a father mean you are the person that passes on you something. It's
right.
not what you. It's not your dad.
It's not a
Okay,
parent. Yeah,
it's
it's not a
not a
parent.
parent, right? Your father, as a
Yeah,
father, you pass on something. That's
right.
what the word means. It's not like, hey, I'm a father. I mean, I'm here for my kid, or I'm supportive, whatever. No, it is the person that passes on something that gives you some kind of inheritance, right?
Right.
The father to the people. I'm the father because I give you the fight of injustice. I give you the freedom that I was able to get, right? I mean, to me, the word father means just that. It's not to say, hey, I I give life to you, and that I have to be around and do anything. You can give birth to a kid and be gone. You still the father. You basically give the kid the inheritance,
Right.
right? You're not the parent. You're not the daddy type
Right.
of the father, right? That's not what father means.
Fair enough. I mean, like, and that's actually pretty suiting for who he is. Like, there were so many people that looked up to him and just the way that he lived his purpose in his life. And they gave that was a respect thing for him, saying like, you took care of us, kind of stuff. Like whether or
Right,
not
right.
he actively did it, for everybody. Like to your point. I mean, yes, it goes back to the whole living your purpose, every single thing and what he does. Like, and I'm saying that he did that sacrificing a lot of things that other people would
Not
go,
really, not really.
no, I think he did. I mean, he sacrificed being a husband. He sacrificed being
He
a
doesn't want
parent.
to be. He doesn't want to be the husband. He doesn't want to be the
I
father.
know. I
The
know.
thing is,
I'm saying
you
for me,
you
I'm talking about for me. Like, I
you
mean, he
forgot it.
sacrificed. So
You
yeah,
forget you can forget what people want, right?
right.
You may want to be a good father,
I know.
right?
I'm talking
Because
about
that's
me.
important
Yeah.
to you.
Right.
But for
Right.
him, say I need for example, let's say you're a beaver, right? Is a beaver a good parent? I don't know, but we know for a fact that beaver is good damn builders, right? That's all they do. They spend all the time for them to go and, hey, I'm gonna take care of my young until the young has become like this, about protect the young and
Right.
ferocious. Like you never, I mean, so you can't say, well, the beaver sacrificed, not taking care of the young and become this grand builder. It's like, no,
I actually don't know.
you are who you are, right? Whatever that it is, your talent, your purpose, you want to do that. The rest of them, you want to do less of it. So for him, it's not a sacrifice. So if you think you sacrifice something, you are not doing what it is your purpose is calling you. Because if you say, hey, I want to be a good parent, because you have that particular gene that wants to be a good parent, then go become a good parent, right?
Right.
So like to me, like when people say I'm sacrificed, to me, a lot of people are a bunch of BS, because what you mentioned in the beginning about, like, he never say, hey, this is my goal, my grand vision, because no one knows. No
Right.
one knows the future. If they do, right, they become God or something, right? To anyone who can tell you, hey, I want to send people to Mars, and this is my grand vision, a bunch of BS, a bunch of bullshit, okay? Because no one knows what tomorrow will bring. You agree with me? So if
Oh,
anyone say,
thousand
hey, this is
thousand
my
percent
grand
that.
vision, so
Right.
so there are billions of people who say, hey, this is my grand vision. Well, probability one of them is going to say, well, I say this and I become that. Then you take that as a, hey, if I state my dream, my vision, it will come true. But
Right.
it's only come true for that one particular guy that is like one in a billion. And
Well,
what happened to the other, the rest of them? It becomes what we call the survivorship bias, back into
right.
what Nassim Taleb is referring to, right? So anyone who has ever gone out there and tell you, hey, I built this and how I built this and I had this whole plan out, blah blah, they're a bunch of liars.
For sure.
bunch
I
of
mean,
lies, because I can tell you right now is I don't even know what the next hour will bring, because next hour something could come suddenly say, hey, true, you're supposed to meet with Chris for the next hour, blah blah blah, but something come up. That's what you call emergency, right? Emergency come up. How do you know it come up? You don't know. But I'm saying is you don't know if life will leave you today, tonight, and next hour, next 5 minutes, because or tomorrow. You don't know.
Right.
And anyone who said I have this vision, right? And told you that, hey, my vision comes true, it's by coincidence. I mean, like, it's like 0.00001% chance, right? Or you're a fucking liar.
Yeah, I mean, I 1000% agree. I mean, like we've been very clear about our vision for Clubany, and it's really just people getting a chance to live a balanced existence
As
with
long as you
meaningful
live,
work and
as
meaningful
long as you
relationships.
live your
Yeah,
life, right?
Right, doing the stuff they love to do with the people they love to do it. That's our only vision. That is not a vision. That is a statement.
That's a want. That's a
right,
want, because to me it's like you give me, hey, true. What do you want to do? I want to eat cake all day.
Fair enough. Then eat cake all
Right?
day. Like,
You
I mean,
can eat cake all day. Right? It's not like, hey, I have planned out that I want to eat cake. No, I was just driven to eat cake. Because, because some people can't eat cake, so you can't say, oh, let's have this vision to plan and eat cake all day long. No, like you play tennis, right? You have this urge to go play tennis, and you're gonna find ways to play tennis, right? You have this urge to go talk to people, right? You have this urge to communicate with people. You're gonna find ways to communicate with people, even if they don't speak your language. You're gonna figure out how to talk to them.
I agree.
So it's an inner drive that you have. Basically, it's driven by
in the present, in the present, like to act in the present is like the inner drive you're talking about is I am compelled to act in the present.
Exactly. It's that something that it's not like you have this grand vision that, hey, I planned it out and this was my goal and then I execute it. No, something tells me I'm not happy. I need to do something. I have to blah blah blah. Right. It's something that is drive within you as a collections and a patterns of DNAs that say, hey, I need to breathe. Right. I need to talk. I need to eat. Right. So the thing is, what happens if you don't eat? Regardless, say, hey, I'm not going to eat anymore. So I'm not going to breathe anymore. Just decide, hey, I won't breathe anymore. It's not like you can decide that. Can you decide?
I mean, you can decide, but like, breathing, you can decide.
Most people can't decide.
I mean, they wouldn't do it for long. They would eventually.
Most people can't decide. Most people can decide. There's a very small percentage based on the total population that people have decided to take their own life, right? Because they have gone through some dramatic. But even in the grand numbers, right, is a very, very small percent. And but I'm talking is you say, well, I have this plan, this grand vision to not breathe anymore. Well, think about it. Hey, you just can't. Like among the 8 billion people that's on the planet, right? How many people wants to have the urge to breathe? Go ahead and hold your breath.
I mean, you could have a vision of humans that don't have to breathe. What if we could just not have to breathe? Like, and then we wouldn't have to worry about global carbon emissions and moving to Mars or something like that. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess you.
I'm saying only if something within you that's driving you to want to achieve that, right? Because I asked you before, hey, you're talking about this accounting, right? You have no fucking interest in.
I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. Like, I mean, I can't even put into words to you how much I hated that. But everything
Chris,
about.
I'm telling you, you're sacrificing accounting for tennis, dude. You're sacrificing a lot. Poor Chris.
I almost didn't get into the upper division of my business school, which blows my mind, by the way. Like, to be crystal clear, I'm a pretty good student. Like, especially when I care about stuff, clearly I can study, right? Like, I mean, I'm not like, it's not like I don't have the capacity to be intrigued by something.
You have the capacity. I guarantee you have the capacity. It's just that you say, hey, I have the capacity to be a father, but I'm sacrificing.
Right.
That's what I'm saying to you is, hey, you have the capacity to do all this accounting. and all these formulas and whatever,
Right.
but you just have no
It's the
interest
worst.
in it.
Oh my god.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're
so
yawning just by me talking about it.
no, I probably did. I technically like it was the
Your
man.
brain's
No,
basically shuts down and say, hey, I'd
you're
rather
actually
do
giving
something
me
else.
PTSD. Back to my management 201, 200 and 201 class. Like this is no joke. The way that Purdue works for their Craner School of Business Management, you got admitted when you were a freshman, and you had these 2 probationary years. Basically, you had like 10 core classes that everybody had to take. They were like, business management 201, management 200, which was financial accounting, business accounting, stat 10, like whatever certain. Anyway, there was all these like classes you had to take. They were like business related classes. There was 10 of them you had to take. And then there was the other 10 courses or so that you took over your first 2 years were like electives toward just like general credits you needed to graduate or something along those lines. Well, if you didn't get I think it was a 3.3 GPA or higher average on your 10 courses that you had you had to get complete and get a 3.3 or higher GPA to get admitted into the upper division management courses. Well, then you could take whatever you wanted to take and specialize in whatever you wanted to specialize in, and you didn't have to like worry about like taking any other bullshit classes or something like that. Well, there's one massive weed out course. It's called Management 200. It's financial accounting. And it is the worst. Like it has one of the highest fail rates in the country of any class of students in it. Right. Well, this class, like I think I probably had like a 3.8 GPA in all my other business classes. This class, like it was like torture to me. Like I mean, it was literally torture. I'm like I would have cheated. Like I swear to God, like if you would have integrity is one of my core values now. But if you would have put a test in front of me that said, here's all the answers, just write them down. Do you feel bad about that? I would go, fuck no, I don't feel bad about this. Like, I just give me the answers. I just want to get the fuck out of here. Like, I would have not cared at all. I would have cheated on my neighbor next to me for all I give a shit. I mean, like, I don't care. As a matter of fact, I think I probably tried to cheat with my fraternity brothers.
Like I say, you're sacrificing
man
at 200.
all who I am just to get. But so here's the worst part about it is I did get I think I got a C+ in that class. So it didn't hurt my GPA enough to like I was still fine. But then management 201 was the next class. So financial accounting was management 200, and then it was like management 201 was like business accounting or something like that, or like it was more like business related accounting practices versus just like the financial accounting stuff. And business, the management 201 class, that was my last class I had to take before I could, my last semester of my sophomore year, before I could get admitted to my upper division classes. And you cannot go forward unless you have this minimum GPA and you've completed all these courses. Well, I got a D in that class and gave me and took me down to like a 3.2 GPA or something like that. So I couldn't go fucking forward into my other courses my junior year. So I had to, my entire first semester of my junior year, I took tennis, I took wine appreciation, I took bowling, I took whatever, and then management 201. I had to retake the course because I had to get a C or higher in that class to get my GPA back up to a 3.3. And I barely got a C in that class. I mean, I got it. Clearly, I got it. Was enough to get forward to it. But to your whole point of like, I struggled so hard. You know what the worst thing is about C's in this world?
What?
It means you fucking tried. And you still sucked. Like you were like at least if you're gonna be bad at something, get a fucking F. I respect people that are like, you know what? I got an F. I didn't even try. And I'm like, good for you. Like, that's fine. At least you did, like that makes sense. I don't care about financial accounting. I'm just not even gonna try. I got an F. And I'm like, okay, well, at least they know that. Or the people that get like an A or like a B+ or something like that, they're like, this just fits me. I like it. I like it for whatever reason. I love business accounting, whatever crap. And I'm like, and they just breeze through. I had friends of my fraternity brothers who were, that were accounting majors or going into accounting majors. They would every fucking test, they would just ace it in these two classes. And I'm like, I literally am back in our fraternity and I'm at the library every night or whatever. And I'm like, can you tell me your homework? Can you give me your homework? Because I do not understand any of this. I'm like, I'm struggling so hard. I'm like, please help me for the love of God. I cannot get through this course. Like, and it was
because you
it was hard.
you don't have the talent for it. Your brain just shuts down. It's like when you look at it, it shuts down.
It was
It's
like
not,
jumbly goos. It was like being dyslexic probably feels like. I mean, I would look at the questions and I would go like, like blah, blah, blah. It was awful. Yeah.
I mean, there's certain things that your mind get clarity on, right? And there's certain things that your mind just blurs out. So for me, like in calculus, chemistry, any of those things, my mind is so sharp. When
Right.
When I take creative writing, fucking like I can't even read the fucking topic without getting blurry eyes. So you see what I'm saying? Your brain shuts down. It doesn't let you even trying to absorb the information.
Right.
So what I'm saying is everyone has their own talent, and that
Yeah.
talent, it is what their purpose are, and they have to use it. For them to say, well, you're gonna have you do these. I mean, you are sacrificing so much to eat too much cake, and then you're not eating the frog, right?
You're
And saying, well,
you're
sacrificing the
mainlining
frog, you're
frogs.
eating
Yeah.
the cake.
Right. No, you're not even like in those classes when you with like your creative writing or like financial accounting for me
you
is
think
like
about it. I look at the people who does like the creative writing and the marketing, like creative
I
marketing.
love that stuff.
What
Like
I mean,
I
the thing is, I say
breeze through those classes.
these guys are genius. I mean, they have done so much work and they're so good at it. They must have spent thousands of hours on it, right? I look at those guys like Nelson Mandela, and the other people look at me like I'm fucking Nelson Mandela in chemistry, because for chemistry, like I can say, well, I can do like whatever, like I'm good at that.
Right.
And people look at me like, hey, this guy's a fucking genius. And when it comes to creative writing, it's like, this guy sucks so much that, you know what I mean?
No,
So that's what I'm
you're spot on.
saying is don't put
It's a
yourself
beaver
down.
must dam. Like
It's a
it
beaver
goes
must
back
dam.
to
That's what...
yeah. I mean, and you can't stop yourself. Like I've told you, one of my tennis buddies I haven't played with him recently because he got hurt for a while. But I told you he's like a world-renowned mathematician. And he's like literally like he's like Sheldon Cooper on like The Big Bang Theory. I mean, he's like that like he travels to like China and gives like guest lectures at like massive universities. He used to be a Princeton mathematician, a math professor. I think he's a math professor at University of Michigan now. And anyway, this guy's like brilliant mathematician, right? And he, when I played tennis against him, he was actually the one that like really got me intrigued about strategy in tennis. I really had never thought about it much. Shockingly, I'd played tennis my entire life, but the way that I always played was like, I'm just going to try to overpower you. I'm going to like sheer beat the shit out of you. I'm going to play my game and I either win or I'm going to lose. And most of the time when I was a kid, I won, right? Like, but when there's the big difference between being a kid playing tennis and being an adult playing tennis. Like grown man tennis is like people that really love the game, like, and they really love the strategy about it. This guy, I'm telling you about this mathematician guy, his name's Michael. He is like the least athletic looking dude you'll ever see. He can't really run fast, doesn't hit great shots, and he fucking tortures people on the tennis court. Like, I mean, and it's so maddening. I mean, I've seen so many people because I was on his team. That's how we met. I was on his team for a couple of years. I saw so many people. I've never seen more people in my life that just take the racket and like chuck it, break rackets or whatever in a recreational tennis match. Against him, it happened almost every single fucking week. He was so maddening to play against. And I ended up, he would beat the shit out of me all the time. And I'm like, how the fuck are you beating me? I'm like, I am so much more skilled, faster. Everything about my being should be just destroying you on the tennis court. And he was killing me for a long time. And then eventually I was like, Michael, can you just go teach me how to play tennis? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So we would go hit all the time, and he would teach me like different patterns and things like that he's looking on a tennis court. And he would always tell me, he was like, Chris, there's nothing more satisfying for me on a tennis court than watching somebody else miss a shot. And I was like, that's fucking weird, man. I was like, don't you want to hit a winner and like just blast the ball by him and feel good about your shot? He's like, no,
No.
No, I want to torture them until they miss a shot, and I want to watch them crumble. And what is wrong with you? I was like, you're so fucking weird, but he's so right though. Like, I mean,
Right.
but anyway, I that was all an aside to share like what he told me. Because I was telling him one day as we were like walking off the courts, and he was talking about I was asking about what he does, and I'm like, man, that's got to be wild. You're like some crazy mathematician, like world-renowned mathematician, and I'm like, I fucking hate math, and he was like, why do you I was like, I failed. I got a D. I lost my National Honor Society scholarship thing in high school, whatever you got to get like a certain GPA. I crushed the GPA number, that was fine, but you can never get a D in any class. And I got a D in my advanced algebra class. For some dumbass reason, I thought I should take advanced algebra when I was, a sophomore, and I got a D or something like that. And I was like, well, there goes National Honor Society, because like every other class, I think I graduated with like a 3.7 GPA or something like that. Like, I mean, and I got a D in algebra, right? I'm like, I'm a fucking retard, pardon my French, when it comes to mathematics. And I'm like telling him this, and he was like, Chris, like that doesn't make any sense. He was like, you're very creative and conceptual and can put together very quick concepts and understand bigger picture. Like he was like, you should be really good at math. He was like, the problem isn't you're bad at math. The problem is they didn't teach you math the right way. And I was like, that makes a lot of sense, actually, Michael. I was like, I do understand a lot of, I mean, I understand all the black swan concepts, all the, all the other, the long tail. I understand a lot of mathematical concepts when I apply it to life, and that makes sense to me. But like, if you were to ask me to go do statistical regression analysis or some bullshit on whatever, to go talk about a bell curve and a black swan event, I would be like, I would blow my brains out, honestly. But if you just tell me to talk about the concept of a black swan, I can be like, oh well, yeah, well that makes sense. I can apply that anywhere. Like that's easy, So anyway, that was a whole side effect to say I suck at mathematics.
Right, because you remember we said something about learning is a lead indicator of your purpose.
That's
right?
true.
Right. So the thing is, whatever you learn is basically you have a talent for it. The talent produces the interest.
Yeah.
I mean, to say that you have the capacity to do math doesn't mean you like to do math. You have the capacity to do accounting, but you don't do the accounting. Your brain just shuts down. I mean, like I said, the brain doesn't allow you to even use the neurons to even receive the input for trying to understand what it is that they're asking you to do, right? So a lot of these like questions that you're trying to say, hey, trying to do this, trying to do that. Like I told you, when I was younger, you can ask me to describe you a tree, and I can't fucking do it. I mean, any fucking like 2-year-old can do it. I can't do it at 7 years old. At 10 years old, I can't do it. Right? You ask me to write 200, like 100 words. I can't fucking do 100 words. Like for you, you're probably like, that's just my intro, 100 words.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I've never had
I can't do
100
words. Like I can't put in 2 sentences, right? Because my brain fucking shuts down. So is that because I don't have the capacity to do it? I can. I just, for whatever reason, when it comes to that, it triggers like a switch in my brain. It shuts down. And so for me, that's something I don't do. I do other stuff. Like I say, everybody has a certain patterns of gene that drives them to do certain things. This is what I would call purpose. And a purpose is something that you have. It is like a talent that you have to use. It's not a destination. It's not an object you receive, right? So even you receive something, right, and you don't use it, it's not a purpose. A purpose is something you use all the time. Because
all the time.
If you get a pair of legs, you gotta walk. If you get a pair of lungs, you gotta breathe. If you have a pair of mouth like Chris does, and you have the need to communicate, even for like nonsense stuff like, hey, Pepe is walking, woof, woof, whatever, right? Like
mi perros dice woof woof.
Right? But the thing is, what's the purpose of you trying to communicate in that?
I don't know.
Has no purpose. But you are compelled, you are driven to want to say something, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. For me, I just shut the fuck up. Even if you ask me a question, I won't answer you, right? And for you, I mean, I don't care if you're completely being like tape over your mouth, you still muffle something out.
100%. Or even if I couldn't talk, you would still see my eyebrows and my hands
Yes,
going.
yes, 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 exactly.
Like yeah, no, I mean 100%. Like it is a
It
compulsory,
is.
mechanism. Like Nelson Mandela, it was compulsory for
But
him
you
to
have
want to help
fun
people.
doing it.
Right? Yes,
You have fun doing it. That's the thing. Your brain is like engaged.
right.
If you don't have the purpose, the talent for it, your brain shuts down. It won't allow you to process it.
Look, I know that I talk a lot, but like I also know that like I'm pulling in concepts so quick into my head that I'm trying to make the words that are coming in my mouth intriguing for most people. Like that I don't think that other people can do that as fast as I'm doing it. Like I know it. Like I mean, most people when they're talking, I know that I talk really fast, but at the same time, like it is I'm
Right, because you can take
I'm
me for example, right? When I talk, I can't think. so so you ask me a question, right? I have to stop,
right.
think about it, let my brain marinate on it, then I can talk. And then when I talk, I stop thinking. When I think, I stop talking. But for you, you come in and put out like you can keep a conversation going on. The reason why we have this great conversation is because you are the guy that facilitates that. Because I can go meet with somebody, right? I will get
Okay.
about 2 words in. Like me today, not me in the past. Like me
Right.
today with 2 years of training under the Chris Sears, umbrella. I cannot keep a conversation with somebody because for one, they don't have the interest. The second is like, I don't know what I want to say to them. It's like, what's the purpose? Like I keep thinking
Right.
about. I think more than I talk. But for you, it's like it's fluid, right?
It's very
So
fluid.
so so that's
Yeah.
that's a talent you have, and you
Right.
have to use it. You're compelled to use it. It's compulsory. You cannot say, I'm keeping my mouth shut because
It's
we
torturous.
tried
True.
we
True. I've
tried that
tried.
before. Like
I've tried.
we tried to limit your rambling on in our L10 say, hey,
I've
Chris,
tried.
keep it to 5 minutes. You have never ever have made it under 5 minutes. It's always
It's, it's
over,
it's never
and you always
never.
make an excuse why you still under.
It's
You say,
it's
well, we passed here, well, we didn't do it. It's like, no. The point is, when you took more time, like regardless of whatever your reasonings are, you still take more time, right? You
right.
say, well, I'm still under because those 2 minutes we talk about something. Yeah, it was in the intro, blah blah blah. Like you have so many things that you
But
can put into it. But my point is, you are compulsory trying to get your communications out, and that's who you are. You can't stop being Chris.
100%. I was gonna say it's um I gotta show you this. This is funny. All right, so this is like my text message thread that I have with like my 4 best friends, like we've
Mm-hmm.
known each other since some I don't know who put that title on there. I didn't do that. One of them did. So one of my friends, Adam, was asking like, about the Medvedev and was playing Chris Eubanks in a Wimbledon match, and
Mm-hmm.
he was just asking questions, and I was like, I gave him an answer multiple times, about why they were asking about like why is he doing this or why is he doing that. So I gave him the answers, and Adam was like, hey, I'll just refer to Chris when it comes to tennis. Obviously, it's just trying to understand like match styles and why they're doing what they're doing, and our friend Kevin, it was like, Chris should call matches, and he said by the time that he explained what he saw at one point, the set would be over and the sponsors would be upset. And he said Chris is bad at brevity. Yeah.
Now Chris is not bad at gravity. He just cannot
Right.
be
I can't. No.
brief. He cannot be brief.
Right.
It's
So
impossible.
I mean, my best friends that have known me since I was. This is just when you know me. This is how I
I
am.
know you. Your best friend knows you. We
Right.
know you.
Right.
You are who you are. You
It
cannot
is.
change it. You cannot bottle it up because eventually it's gonna explode. It's gonna come out. And so, like
I've
I say,
tried. I've tried in my life. True. I'm not even joking.
you,
Not
you
not not
try.
even not even
I've
on the
seen you
L10
did.
meeting. No,
Yes,
no, I'm
I've
not even
seen.
not even on the L10. That was nothing. I've actually tried. I've no joke. Like there's been times in my life where I'm like, I'm gonna try to go a whole day without talking. And I'm because maybe like I pissed off my girlfriend or something like that, or I did something stupid or whatever.
Yes.
I did some raccoon shit that it was like, really bad, and I probably hurt somebody's feelings by just running my mouth like I always do. And I'm like, you know what? I need to shut the fuck up, So I'm not going to talk for like 24 hours. Or I'm not going to talk, and somebody says something to me, I'm just going to say, like, what happens? Do you know what? Take a guess. I've tried it before, and I've gotten pretty close to being able to do it. But do you know what happens not with me, but with other people? With me, it sucks because I feel like I can't, I'm not being who I want to be. But actually, the weird thing is what happens with other people around me.
They stop talking.
They think something's wrong with me. They're like, "Are you mad at me? Like, is there something?"
Of course, you're not who you are.
Right. They're like, what's wrong with you right now? And I'm like nothing. Just not saying anything. Yeah.
Or something's wrong. Definitely something's wrong. I mean, I can tell when if you come up, if you and I meet, right, and one of these times you don't talk, right? I say, well, something's definitely wrong. Okay, what's going on? Right? Because yeah, I know who you are, right? I know that you're this kind of person, and that's who you are, and that's what you exude. You exude that, and that's basically for Chris. Like, if I were to be trying to be you, that is a task that I would seem like climbing a mountain, or trying to become Nelson Mandela.
Yeah,
that is the effort.
My God,
for me
what he does?
to exactly. Yeah. Right, for us to be, hey, let's see if we can even become even a 1/10% of what he does. I can't even get like nearly close to it.
Yeah, right? You locked me up in prison for 1 week on Robben Island. I would be like, get me out of here! I'd be crying like
you cannot be alone for one day. I mean,
no.
Be locked up in prison for a week.
I'd be talking to the prison guard. I'd be like, tell me about
you're talking to a wall. You're talking to a fly. You're talking to like anything that you can find. Say, hey man,
Jesus. It would be awful. I mean, it would be torture. Like, I would never want to do what he. Not only did he do what he did, I would never want to like.
But my point is that it's not like that's what he has planned. That's just what he's driven to do. Right. He's driven to do that because you ask a beaver, why do you keep building dams?
I don't know.
Right? Hey, Chris, why you keep playing tennis?
I like it. I mean,
it costs you money. Why do you keep talking? What's the point? What's the benefit? Why do you keep talking? That's what I'm saying. So it's not like this guy has said, oh, I'm go out there and now I have this grand visions and I'm gonna become this revered person and blah blah blah. Right? No, he's just being himself.
Right. I'm gonna change the world.
Yeah, I'm gonna change the world. That's not, anyone who tells you that, a fucking liar.
Yeah, because, for sure. For sure. Like these business when a VC pitch nights and stuff like that of like, we're gonna change everything, and I'm like,
no,
probably not.
You want the dollars.
right. Yeah, like just like no, you're not. Like you're just gonna do. Hopefully, it's what you like to do, But
most VC don't like what they do. No. The reason why I know this is because most entrepreneurs get burnt out. They get burnt out because the thing is, for you, Chris, you play how many years have you played tennis?
I mean, since I was 5.
Exactly. So you're talking about how the fuck do you get burnt out if that's something you like to do?
It's not even I get burned out. I get anti-burned out. Like I'm actually should be burned out, and my body is
exactly. So that means statistically. So my point is that statistically, right, entrepreneurs get burned out like within a year to 2 years. Like, what the fuck? Like, well, you don't like it. Don't pretend that, hey, this is my lifeline and blah blah blah. No, you just bunch of liars. If you love what you do, right? You and I have been on this for fucking almost 3 years, okay? And to me, I don't want it to end because, I mean, what do I get from it? Do I get any money from it? Right? I'm spending time. But the thing is, what I get is what I want. It's my cake.
Right.
So I don't get burned out. I'm actually getting energized and I'm getting like looking forward to this every single night. And so to me, do I look like I'm going to get burned out from doing this Yoml thing?
No, not
it's too hard. The thing is, we started Yoml, right? which is like a year and a half, or almost like the mid mark of the year and a half into the company, that you and I start meeting, and we have done 277 episodes.
That's wild. I honestly, it's really wild.
So the thing is, you think about it, if I were an entrepreneur, right, and I'm doing this, I would have burned out at like 50th.
Oh, for sure.
Right? 100%. That means that it's not cake for me. I'm eating a fucking frog every day. So to me, entrepreneurs, that's to me is evidence, support that most entrepreneurs don't like what they do. They have a different agenda.
I 1,000. Actually, it gets even worse in my opinion, because remember that high alpha venture studio that I told you about here locally? Well, what they do is they take ideas, they do their sprint week, and they just have their teams pitch ideas of what they feel like would be a good, B2B solution or whatever, and then they go and they match up a CTO and a CEO to go take that idea if they all agree to go do it, and then they go launch a company. And like in theory, that sounds great. Take really highly talented people, take an idea that everybody carefully vets out, over the course of a week that funnels up to everybody else's thing. But the one thing that they're missing is is this somebody's actual problem that they're going to care about and want to go solve for forever? Is this somebody's passion that they really love? Is there who are these people that are going to take this torch that you're pairing together to go?
You don't man out 200.
They're going to run out.
Management 200.
Exactly. I mean, they may enjoy it for a little while, but eventually they're going to go. They just want to get their monny out of it.
The thing is, when you get burnt out,
where's the love? Is the point? Where's the love?
You're just telling me that that's not what you really wanted to do. Because for me, it's like, if I have a problem, right? Because I told you, I have a problem. I have diabetes, right? And I have a very severe diabetes. And that's my problem. I care about that. Regardless of what happens, I'm going to be on it. What you want me to do, I'll do it, right? You want me to stop eating? I'll stop eating. I do fasting, remember? You remember? Right? You want me to stop eating everything else except for meat? I did it.
Right?
Yeah. You want me to stop drinking coffee? I did it. Because that is my problem. But when an entrepreneur, when they're trying to solve a problem, it's not their problem. They have no interest in it, right? Exactly. And so that's why they get burned out. For me, it's like, I haven't had a single drop of caffeine. Not just coffee, but caffeine. Completely no caffeine, right? Since when I told you that I read the book and I stopped, right? And it's the easiest thing. I don't get burned out from fucking stop drinking caffeine.
Yeah. No, you make 1,000%. If it's I think Vanilla Ice said it best. If there's a problem, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. But that was to your point. If it's your own problem, you'll solve it, right? Like my shoulder, like you said, your diabetes. Like I'm doing 200 push-ups a day, basically. I'm doing shoulder stretches every single day. I'm trying to take different supplements and stuff like that. I'm about to go to my mom's osteopath. I'm getting massages stuff done every single day. I'm experimenting with different ways to hit balls. Right? To make sure that I don't have to stop playing tennis.
Exactly.
You do whatever.
And that's the thing is, when you love to play tennis, right? You're gonna do whatever. You're gonna go to some guru or some osteopath or whatever it is. It's to allow you to continue to play tennis. So when it is your purpose, because it pertains to you, you will not get burned out. Because the thing is that you don't get burned out from playing tennis. You get burned out from trying to figure out how to solve your problems. Like, oh, I'm so exhausted. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna let my shoulder go wither away.
Every person that I've said, oh man, my shoulder's been so fucked for a while. You know what they say? What's the first thing they say to me?
Stop playing tennis.
Yeah, exactly. The first thing I'm like, I say to him is I'm not doing that.
Not an option. That's not an option. I won't even consider it. I will anything else, but I gotta do this. Right? That's if you're talking about an entrepreneur liking what they do, that is the exact mentality. Stop playing tennis. No, not possible. Not gonna.
That's not the solution.
Not an option.
Not
an option. I still gotta do this, right? So whatever they're trying to solve, nothing. I mean, nothing will stop them except for if they get they pass away, but nothing will stop them. And that's what
Right.
I'm saying is, and the most entrepreneur, they get burned out and they quit it because it wasn't what they're meant to do. So lessons learned. Don't waste your time. Just like you say, what's the worst thing about getting a C? It's like you fucking try.
You
I mean,
tried.
it's like, I mean, it's like
it's
I don't like
embarrassing.
I don't like eating the frog, but I'm going like to gag on the fucking frog and trying it and like regurgitate it out and trying to ingest it again and regurgitate it out again. That's being stupid, right?
It's
So don't
awful.
waste your time. Don't waste your resources. Either do or don't, right? When you do, find something that you really passionate about, have the conviction to do, because the option is like, hey, stop playing tennis or stop doing the business, for example, right? For you to say, hey, my shoulder is fucking falling off, but you attempting to stop playing tennis, is that an option? And I never ever will consider an option.
Right. Hey,
Right?
Nelson,
I
you
would
just got
try
exiled
anything
from
else.
your country and you can't see your family, your children, your wife, or whatever. Like, stop trying to fight for equality. No, not going to do it. Nelson, you're in jail for 27 years. Like, stop. Like, maybe we'll let you out. Or no, not like. I mean, you're exactly right. It's like,
Because
no, that's not an option,
when you try and
right.
you suck at it, right? That means you're worse than, hey, I got an F or got an A, right? Because at least you excel when A. When you're an F, yeah, like smart enough to say, hey, I'm not gonna waste my fucking time on this. So, what advice to entrepreneurs, right? Don't waste your time. Don't waste your precious
if
your
you're
precious
getting
resources.
C's, you're getting C's, stop. Like, I mean, that should be a rule for anybody. If you're getting C's, especially in higher education on anything, just stop. Like, I mean, like, just stop. Like, I mean, there is just nothing good that can come out of that. Because have you ever heard the saying C's get degrees?
No.
You never heard that before? Like, so there's a lot of people that say, like, yeah, it's all right. C's get degrees. Who gives a shit? Eventually when you get your degree, you can get out of here and go, but actually, like, it's after this conversation, like, and I've thought about this a lot, obviously, before in the past, of like what it means to get a C psychologically, I guess, and like, that's the fucking worst you could be ever. Like, I mean, if you're just getting by to just get a degree, or whatever, or you're studying something.
If you barely pass with a C, you feel like you're so exhausted after getting that C. I mean, get an F, like, hey, it's light because I don't fucking try. You get an A, it's a breeze because I didn't even hardly make an effort in doing it.
Right.
But when it's C, it's like you're putting your best effort out and you barely made it. So you're exhausted, right?
It's only going to get worse going down the road. Let's say you wanted to be in it for whatever reason. You wanted to be an accountant major. Like, let's just pretend I wanted to be an accounting major for something. For some reason in my life, somebody was like, "Hey, Chris, you got really good skills for accounting. Like, you should go do that." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe I should." So I start to study accounting. I get C after C after C after C after C, and somebody goes, "Hey, Chris, look, I know you're getting a lot of C's, but, like, C's get degrees. Stick with it. You'll find, you'll get your CPA license, and who knows what happens when you get out into the real world. Like, it's not like academia." And I'm like, all right, fine. Like, I believe that. Like, what's most likely going to happen when I get into the accounting business world? Like, do you think that I'm going to be a good accountant? Like, do you think it's going to be something that's going to be a passion for mine? Like, I mean, if it's like
you be the source of the legal troubles because
probably
you're gonna make stupid mistakes that no one should make, and then you got people suing you left and right.
Probably end up at Enron or something like that, like, and they're like, "This dipshit will do anything," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I hate this job. It's fine. What do you want me to write on here?" Like,
That's what I said. I mean, Enrons and WorldCom and whatever is out there.
Right.
It's all over the place. But that's what I'm saying. It's certain things that if you're not made for it, right? Don't waste the effort. It's a lose. Because
the dip. Don't go through the dip, unless it is something you just aligns to your being every single day. All right.
But that's the problem. The problem is, how do you align to a dip?
you don't. Like, if you're in the dip and you're in the dip, then you're in the dip, and you're not probably getting out of the dip. Like, if you're. But you said this a long time ago.
The thing is, when you're in a dip, right? Don't try to climb the dip. Just get rid of the dip.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you
really get rid of it,
you said probably the most, I think, impactful thing about that conversation I really liked it. Like, you only ever know you're in the dip when you shouldn't be in the dip, like, because if you recognize you're in the dip, you probably need to stop what you're doing. Like, like, to your point, like, I don't think Nelson Mandela ever was like, I'm in the dip here, like,
Yeah,
I just
you
got
don't think
exiled,
about it.
dude.
You don't.
Like,
But
you
then
don't think about it. Like,
for me, it's like for you, it's like, hey, I'm struggling with tennis and my shoulder is fucking hurt right now. You're in a dip, but it's like I'm not in a dip.
no, I just got to
Because
figure out a problem. I just got to
you,
find the
to
right
you,
through,
is you're not
Yeah.
in a dip. For other people
Yeah.
looking at, again, that is when you say, right, that's not a dip for you.
Right.
It's
That's
just
what I
something
meant.
that
Yeah.
you're gonna overcome. But when you yourself recognize you're in a dip,
You're
you
like,
fucking
shit.
taking management account management 200, right? You
Right.
on a fucking dip, right? Just gotta go. Drop the fucking class.
Just get out of there. Yeah.
Again, F. Again,
Just get
F
out of there.
and try
Yeah.
it again, right?
Right. Yeah. Go.
Rather
Yeah.
than trying, like, imagine like eating the fucking frog and like throwing back up and trying to push back in, throwing back up and push back in, right?
Yeah.
Your body telling you, hey, I don't want this stuff.
I don't want it. I don't want it, man. Get me out of here. All right. We got a wrap for the night. This is a fun conversation. I know we can keep going for forever, but no, I think that was a fun conversation. So the question we can leave with everybody is, what powers your next step? What are your, don't worry about the destination. Just, what's powering your next step. And if
What
it's
powers is always what we say is purpose.
right.
Purpose is what powers you.
Should be.
There's nothing. Well, it should be and has to be, because if you don't, you are using it's
Willpower.
it's
Purpose power versus willpower.
self-inflicting misery.
Yeah. That's the best way to describe it. Honestly, it really is. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for joining, everyone, and we will see you all Monday.
Monday, maybe.
Have a good weekend.
See ya.